the floor is yours for 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the witnesses for being with us. My questions are for Mr. Shipley. Of course, you're the CEO and co-founder of a cybersecurity software firm out of New Brunswick, and I know in your opening remarks you outlined a number of the national security and public safety concerns with Chinese electric vehicles entering the Canadian market. So I'd like to expand on your opening remarks with my line of questioning. On the national security side, of course, the Liberal government is allowing Chinese EVs to gain a foothold in the Canadian market with 49,000 under reduced tariff structure annually to begin with this year, rising to 70,000 annually by 2030, pardon me. And you alluded to this, China's national security law, of course, allows the government in Beijing to access data from Chinese-owned companies, including electric vehicle companies, for example, there. In the past, you have made public commentary relating this to the same rationale as Canada, of course, banning Huawei and our 5G capabilities, but also, I would say, TikTok on government devices. Can you just elaborate how that same logic would apply to Chinese electric vehicles entering the Canadian market?
Sure. It comes down to willingness and intent. And if you have a country whose interests can at times be hostile to ours, then they have the capability. It's a question of whether they want to or not. The one thing I would say that should be more concerning is that it's not just their own manufacturers, of course, they can compromise. The Chinese nation-state hackers have been running amok through telecommunications networks in Canada, the United States, the Western Hemisphere, as far as espionage goes. So they can be everywhere. And the bigger point, I think, that I was trying to emphasize as well is if we don't secure other vehicle manufacturers, they're going to hack them too. So, it's not an issue exclusive just to the Chinese brands, and it's not even an issue exclusive to nation states themselves. There's the corporate interests that may or may not align to Canada's national interests.
There we have issues from Iran, from Russia, from North Korea, and other actors. It's not solely China that we receive from Chinese bad actors, for example, located in China, that we receive those threats. But in particular, the autos manufactured there, the data, as you outlined, whether it's audio, whether it's video, whether it's the GPS exact precise location. You mentioned that a good example, in fact, that the Chinese government itself has banned Tesla from their defense and sensitive meetings for this exact rationale. And so are you concerned, for example, that we are bringing in Chinese EVs that, the defense minister may be driving, or the CSIS director or others? Would that be a concern for Canada?
Well, I would follow Israel's example on this, and they recently stopped deploying Chinese-made vehicles to senior military officers for concerns. Poland, as I noted, is considering bans on Chinese vehicles near that. And every country plays this is the great game. Everyone spies on everyone else. If you have the capability, why wouldn't you? So we have to be concerned about it. But I think we need to be concerned about manufacturers from every jurisdiction around the world, and we lack the capacity to give Canadians the assurance that we know what's going on.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Shipley. I think the issue in particular, though, is as China is an adversary nation, whether, if we compare to European auto markets that are European cars in Canada, American ones, they are not adversaries in the same way as China is, who's using its soft power by exporting Chinese EVs to foreign markets. And with a little foothold, they blow open the door in those markets, and those markets are flooded with those EVs in a very short order. So I'm concerned that, let's say, in 10 years, we'll have millions of Chinese EVs. And you've outlined this, that there is the power to shut down remotely or remotely lock these vehicles, let alone pull all the data back to the headquartered facility, perhaps in China, for this example that I'm using. I know you're aware, I'm sure, that in Norway, they proved that Chinese EV buses driven far underground in Norwegian mines had the ability for the company itself to turn off those vehicles remotely. So again, we're talking about worst case scenarios, I think, but I think the country has to be smart when we're talking about bringing in basically rolling computers that Canadians live their lives in and flooding the streets with them in the next number of years and decades. Could you comment on that?
Yeah, I think they're not just going to hack their own stuff. If they really want to go at it and they want to spy on members of this committee, odds are if you're driving a vehicle made in the last 5 years, you're connected to the internet. So they're going to listen in. And there are 3 identified companies out of Israel that are making what they're calling car int tools to spy. So I think obviously if they have direct access through influence over the manufacturers, they can build in backdoors if they want. Same can happen with American manufactured vehicles and other things. And I think our list of what's hostile to Canada has changed dramatically in the last couple of years. So I think it's a good idea to, if we secure all of them, then we don't have to worry about any one manufacturers alone. We have the assurance we have the right standards. And I think that's where I think the simple solution of mandating a kill switch. Every Canadian should have the right to take these off the
Shipley.
internet.
I think something that we've heard, though, in the AI, in our AI study is that a kill switch can be overridden by AI technologies today. So the kill switch is perhaps a good opportunity, but it's not a fail-safe any longer. Unfortunately, just in the last couple of weeks, these AI advancements have shown that kill switches can be overridden by the very algorithm that powers the device. So it is a challenge. I appreciate the idea, but I don't think that that's necessarily the only solution. And I appreciate that, of course, we need to safeguard ourselves against all the technology in our lives from whatever country it's from. But I do believe that there is a difference between us driving an American-made a vehicle versus a Chinese-made electric vehicle. Would you not agree that there's some degree of greater risk if it comes from China?
In about 15 seconds, thank you.
Yeah, and just to be clear, the kind of kill switch I'm talking about is a hardware one. Pull the fuse. You can't hack that. It's powered down. So if we make them do it,
no, that
we
very
can
scenario was overridden by AI algorithms just very recently.